Please get comfortable. I want to tell you a story. A story on how streaming ruined a film for me. It was a movie night like any other. Scrolling through countless films on various streamers to decide what me and my girlfriend want to watch. Then, on Amazon Prime, I suddenly stumble upon Love and Mercy, a film I've been meaning to watch for a while. As we're putting on the film, I see a green text below the film title which reads, "Leaving Amazon Prime in 173 minutes. The film is only 120 minutes, so we reckon it's fine. Throughout the film, we see the making of many Beach Boys classics. And I loved how fascinated this biopic was in capturing the joy Brian Wilson felt in making music. I thought those scenes were fantastic. However, there was one song my ears were perked up for. A song I was surprised not to hear after the film had covered the time period that song was written and released in. Silly me. Turns out the film had bigger plans for it. As the film was coming to an end, the iconic intro for that song started playing, in what is, in my opinion, the film's masterstroke. It was only a matter of seconds until I was going to be shedding tears. Or so I thought. Instead, Amazon Prime bombarded the screen with other recommended titles with a ticking time bomb threatening to autoplay Bohemian Rhapsody right after. Mind you, the film hadn't finished. There was text on the screen detailing what happened after, which we were unable to read due to the stuff Amazon Prime has put all over the frame. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. The countdown beat me to it as I was trying to find a remote in the dark. Bohemian Rhapsody starts playing. Well, I accidentally turned the lights on because the light switch remote and the TV remote both looked very similar. During this, my girlfriend is cracking up while I'm furiously trying to find the remote to go back to Love and Mercy. But guess what? I exit Bohemian Rhapsody to find that Love and Mercy has left Amazon Prime. I thought we had 173 minutes, but I guess maybe the timer hadn't updated. Frankly, I don't know what happened there. I was sat there in disbelief. The emotional catharsis that I thought I'd be having was gone. I had sobered up from the film's magic, and we were sat there watching a preview clip of the film that we just sort of finished watching. This is not the first time I've been aggravated by the autoplay feature on a streaming platform. However, this is the first time where I thought it genuinely lessened the film's impact for me. I've complained about the autoplay feature at least twice in my Letterboxd, so it's on record somewhere in my profile. But before I continue complaining about it even more, let me present you with the solution. You may or may not know this, but you can turn the autoplay function off on most streamers.
Evil dies tonight!
I'm not entirely sure when autoplay was first implemented, but it was in 2020 where Netflix offered people the option of turning it off, which means that people had to have been complaining long before that. The binge watching model which Netflix pioneered has got to be the inception of this feature. Jumping onto the next episode of your TV show without having to move a muscle doesn't sound like the worst thing in the world. But still, I have my issues with it. Autoplaying films is absolutely sacrilegious, but even with TV, I find it a bit jarring. One thing about me is that I don't watch too much TV, give or take 2 or 3 each year, if even that. The reason is not only because of the countless hours of commitment, but many other reasons which I won't get into now. But with all that being said, the one thing the medium has on films is the fact that by design they have multiple endings. End of an episode, season finales, and the last ever episode. However many episodes a TV show has, that many times they're able to cut to credits. And one of the core arguments of this video is that cutting to credits is actually really powerful. Being hit with the end credits, not knowing where the time went, and realizing just how sucked in you were is one of my favorite feelings in the world. The whiplash from being back in reality is what we talk about when we talk about movie magic, or TV magic in this case. Having that moment be interrupted with suggested titles or the intro for the next episode I find ridiculous. It feels no different than skipping a song into the next one. The world is obsessed with Severance at the moment, and even though I'm not caught up with it, I am sure one of its appeals must surely be the mystery box aspect and the exciting cliffhangers this medium allows for. I'm not a fan of cliffhangers in film. Most times than not, I find they lessen the film's impact for me. But with TV, I live for them. Even when I have the option to jump right into the next episode, I love sitting with the confusion, shock, or dread of a cliffhanger, even if it's just for that 3-minute duration of the credits. Most of my favorite TV consists of those moments. Those moments where the dark screen of the credits reflects an image of myself with my jaw on the floor. With loosely chronological shows, mostly in the realm of comedy, a la Arrested Development, I guess I don't mind the autoplay feature. But with comedies such as Silicon Valley or Barry, you better let me watch the credits because 1, they too have great cliffhangers, and 2, I will most likely be shazamming the song. I'm sure you can relate when I say that I've been introduced to great music over the years through the end credits of TV shows and even film. What I love even more than a good end credit song is a song that overlaps from the ending scene to the credits. And why would anybody in their right mind want to skip such a precious thing? Deciding what song to end the film on and having that carry on to the credits clearly demonstrates that while the story is concluded, the mood lives on. So it's ridiculous to be robbed of that through autoplay. The credits might not be a part of the story, but they are clearly part of the film. The transition into the credits is as carefully orchestrated as the rest of the film. This goes without saying, but filmmakers almost always consider the lasting impression they want to leave the audience with. And most times than not, that emotion is amplified through the use of music in the credits. There's a tweet I like that said something along the lines of, "A great end credits song can gaslight me into thinking the film was good." And yeah. Having the credits disregarded and skipped through autoplay robs you of the final note the film wants you to reflect on. I think I made a pretty clear-cut case in favor of credits, but for what it's worth, I want to mention that credits are also always included in the runtime of a film, because they are part of the film. On top of this, credits come in many different forms, and they don't have to always be dark screen with text over it. You have ones where it continues to intercut with the film. Comedies that present us with the on-set bloopers and banter. Action films who highlight the literal blood and sweat that went into the stunts behind the scenes. Ones that have a gag, and ones with flashy visuals, and so on and so forth. I'll save the rest for when I eventually do a list of my favorite credits in film. But one that I will be mentioning now is arguably one of the most iconic end credit scenes of the last decade. I'm talking about Call Me By Your Name. Having the end credit titles come over the final shot has got to be one of my favorite stylistic choices in film, and I think its effect is a good one to study when examining the importance of end credits. In the case of Call Me By Your Name, even though it doesn't cut to black, the story has concluded. We watch Elio tear up by the fireplace as he seemingly reflects on his relationship with Oliver. Reflects is the key word here. I have mentioned that credits allow us a final moment to reflect on the story we have watched, and I feel by not cutting away, Luca Guadagnino forces that on us, no matter how heart-wrenching that may be. Can you imagine how much a watch next button alongside a countdown would ruin this incredibly intimate and heartfelt moment? I have never seen Call Me By Your Name on streaming, but I would imagine that would actually be the case. Because with Love and Mercy, the autoplay put on the next film before the film actually finished. That's right, the titles at the end as well as Brian Wilson's live performance of the titular Love and Mercy was skipped entirely. So yeah, it's not hard to imagine this moment being skipped to play, I don't know, hopefully something better than Bohemian Rhapsody. Anyway, the main point I want to make here is that a cut to black is not too dissimilar from this. Look, yes, I mean, okay, of course they're different. This stylistic choice achieves something else, and I'm not claiming they're the same. They're not. But by design, they share DNA. In Call Me By Your Name, the last shot is a calm and prolonged one. The nature of this shot allows for it to continue throughout the credits without it needing to cut away or awkwardly drag for longer than it needs to. This is not going to be the case with every film. However, that doesn't mean that their closing shots can't continue to linger on in our minds for longer, because I think it's specifically that effect which end credits can achieve. Choosing your last frame right before the credits is like choosing what image you want imprinted in the minds of the audience as they take it all in during the credits. I'm sure we've all seen films where it feels as though it had multiple different endings. One where it feels like the filmmaker couldn't decide what note or shot to end the film on. And it's not hard to figure out why such a thing might occur. Your closing shot not only ends the story, but also crystallizes the moment the audience carry with them as the credits start rolling. Skipping the credits is, simply put, a slap in the face of the film and the filmmaker. So make sure you skip the ending of Polanski films. I feel at this point I've made my arguments clear, and there's no need hammering it in further. Hammering it in. Instead, let me focus on the root of my and the general public's hatred for autoplay. Ultimately, it's about the romanticism towards film versus the cold and capitalist nature of how tech and entertainment companies have transformed films into mere content. The sole reason for autoplay's existence is to boost audience retention. They make their bucks by keeping your attention, so autoplay is set in place for you to form a more passive binging habit, which will hopefully disable you from going to a competitor. The narrative they spin around autoplay, however, makes it seem like at the end of the day, it's tech that ultimately helps you by getting rid of the choice fatigue. Autoplay, as simple as it is, in its core taps into the same fatigue we have towards any new tech and business advances. For a good portion of the last decade, it seems as though we have stopped talking about tech in any positive way, because there's been a considerable shift. Instead of existing in our best interest, it unashamedly and clearly exists to take from us, whether that's our time, data, money, or in this case, one of the few things we still feel romantic towards: film. Through autoplay, it's abundantly clear that the platforms we watch these films on are ultimately another cold algorithmic machine designed to pacify us for our time. And as a lover of film, it just sucks to see this medium be treated as slop. I wish I ended this on a better note, but this has been really good for film, hasn't it? Oh my god.